From the creators who brought you RuPaul's Drag Race and $1 Million Listing, this is World of Wonder's Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton Bailey, co-founder of World of Wonder, reunited with Tom Campbell, Harris Waltz, and James St. James, for those of you watching on YouTube, wearing a shade t-shirt.
Giving some shade to that Donald Trump character.
It's the day after Halloween, and we're doing what we normally do. We count down the top 10 things of the week that make us go, wow. Important week coming up. Let's start at number 10.
Number 10.
Usually we want to divert you from the horrible things that are happening in the world. And we get a little political sometimes. We don't mean to, but it's do or die time. And I just want to share with you at number 10, the existential dread that I wake up with every now and then. And I'm not trying not to be a baby. I've been not overindulging in news. I keep up, but I don't have it on 24/7 because that scares me. And the polls scare me, and the false equivalency scare me. But I had this weird thing happen last night, and I'm just going to share it. So Jimmy Kimmel, a few nights ago, did his monologue, and it's posted online. And he said, if you have a Republican friend, share this with them.
Oh,
I'm not going to shame Donald Trump. I'm not going to be partisan. I'm just going to give you the facts. And he does a pretty good job of it. It's 15 minutes long, which is longer than people want to watch if you really want to make something viral and go. But, you know, he just talks about, in Donald Trump's own words, which my brother has been saying all along, it's like, just have Donald Trump talking in ads, like just have him sync himself, because you just don't know what bubble you're permeating. And I thought, like, oh, I'm not going to send this, and it's not going to make it different. And what can we do? And, you know, I'm trying to be negative, but just scared as shit. I thought this awful thought. I don't want to say it out loud, but like with Jimmy Kimmel, who I love, I was up late. I flipped over to watch Colbert, who's great. And then you think of Jimmy Fallon. It's like, America's not even ready for a female late night host. I just want to warn people, even if you are woke or liberal or get over your prejudice against a woman in power.
Yeah.
Mothers, women rule this world. They rule this planet in the ways that matter. They're nurturers. They can handle ideas that are complex. And boy, is the world a complex place right now. And we don't need the white guy in a suit anymore. Let's try something different. Because what's the definition of insanity? Is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Let's try something new. People will say, well, she's the same as Biden. No, she's not. She's a different generation. She's a woman of color. She is a prosecutor. She has a plan. Let's try something new. And again, this is just my existential dread because I'm trying to be upbeat. I saw Mark Cuban on The View. Yeah. I think Skyping in from his jet, but okay. But he was very articulate and put me back on track. And he said, I think women are going to win us this election, that wives are going to go into booze and they're going to vote not the way their husbands vote. And that women, as they have in Black women in Georgia and throughout this country. So I still maintain some hope, but I am shocked in the year 2024 that we have such a fear, I think, of women.
And, you know, I'll tell you something, though. The thing that scares me the most is those white Midwestern women who are all in for Trump. And you see it time and time again if you are on TikTok or X or whatever. And they are terrifying. And you're absolutely right, though, that every nation on the planet, when you think of, you know, England, when you think of Germany, when you think of India, all these places have had women in charge, and they are, and there's nothing to be afraid of about it. I don't know what America has the problem with, because Mexico just has its first woman president ever, you know,
and there's that, you know, phrase that's going around. We talked about it last week, I think, but he can be lawless. She has to be flawless. And that's sexism, people. And the other thing we've talked about is, like, we live in this junk TikTok world where we're all kind of guilty of being amused by ha ha, wow, whoa, wow, her. And it's like Trump on some level he's a junk TikTok candidate because he's always doing something stupid that you can laugh at or sneer at. But
and you don't ever get enough time to dwell on any one stupid thing that he does because he moves on to the next stupid thing so quickly.
Yes.
Okay, I get that, and I agree, but I think he is a master, a demonic one in the attention economy. Securing, monopolizing, hogging attention to no good end, obviously. But it's so funny, Tom, because I kind of hadn't thought of it like this. The fact that she's a woman is a hurdle, and in a way, I guess that's a compliment in the sense that
I do think they've done a very good job of not making that an issue. Kamala has not said, vote for me, I'm a woman. They stay away from that.
This is horrible to say, but men either want a mother or a whore, know, and a woman in power.
Men, I would clarify that. I would say straight men.
Thank you.
Straight men are hopeless.
And there are those who rise above that, but you have to rise above your base instinct to know that a woman is a leader and bright. I wish I was starting things on a sunnier note, but I'm going to vote. I hope you vote.
I voted yesterday, and weirdly, I was the only person at the voting place. It was a huge voting place. There was like 40 machines, and I was the only person there, which was sort of like, they did say it's a good thing you came today because by the weekend it's going to be mobbed. But it is very strange.
A little bit I heard was that in the early voting and mail-in votes, the proportion of voters is overwhelmingly female. So
I pray for a blue wave.
A blue wave.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing here where we have problems agreeing on most things. We completely unanimously agree. James, number 9.
Number 9.
I'm just as stressed as you are, Tom. I wake up with a knot in my stomach every day. My shoulders hurt. Everything about this is giving me indigestion, headaches. I cannot wait for this to be over. I cannot wait for Kamala to win. This latest round of shenanigans from Trump and the Republicans, it just has me boiling. This garbage thing about how, if we look back over the past month, Trump has said time and time again, this is a garbage nation. We're a garbage can. There was even a meme of him as a garbage can talking. And he said it over and over and over again at the fascist rally at Madison Square Garden. The Tinshit guy, or whatever his name was, said that Puerto Rico was a garbage nation. So this garbage thing is Republican-led. And then Biden steps in it, God bless him, and says, they're garbage people. Well, suddenly they're outraged. How dare you say we're garbage people? They're clutching their pearls. The Republicans are they're mortified. How dare the Democrats say that? How dare they? And so what does Donald Trump do? He puts on his little garbage man cosplaying outfit, and he gets himself a garbage truck with Trump written on it, and he toddles over to it. He can't open the door. He's so old and infirm and just out of, just a toddler, an old toddler. And he gets in the garbage truck, and they drive around the tarmac 3 times in a circle, which is a metaphor for his, entire campaign. And the way that the two sides look at it, we look at it and say that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. How on earth does that move the needle? Like, he looks absolutely, this is stupid. And they look at it as like, he really owned the libs, didn't he? He did it. Now, I have this friend that I talked about last week who I'm on TikTok, on Twitter, who is a MAGA person. Nice guy. We can talk about theater. We can talk about gay things. We can talk about pop culture. But he will argue to the death that Donald Trump is hysterical and the man to lead us. And I said to him, what is the difference between, us saying garbage and you guys saying garbage? And he said, well, James, if you don't understand, that was a comedian, and that, a comedian versus the president of the United States. If you can't see the difference, then I can't help you. What? Oh my god! Like that's literally how they.
But to me, James, this is the circus that he provides that distracts the fact that there was some thing on NPR about what's her plans for abortion. What's his plan? And they finally got his plan is if he's president, he'll put in more Supreme Justices that. He set us back literally 50 years to before Roe versus Wade. He'll turn us back another 50 years. Like who wants that? Nobody wants that.
Eileen Cannon as his attorney general, and I guarantee after that she's going to be Supreme Court.
Yeah. And also, forgive me, Fenton, is my Republican friends. I have a high school friend who's a Republican. Let's just not use adjectives. And he would say to me, I don't really talk to him anymore, but in previous elections, he'd say, I'd be like, well, what about pro-life? And he's like, they're not going to overturn that. Yeah. That's just an issue to spike people and get them to the polls. It's like, guess what they did? And if you don't think gay, if you're listening to Radio Andy and you love Andy Cohen and you love, Jeff Lewis and you love Sandra Bernhardt and you love, the queer stars of this world, shouldn't they have equal rights? I also worry all the narrative when we're guilty of it right now, and I'm guilty of it. I'm not. We're talking about him and not her.
I get that, Tom, and I was actually going to move on to number 8.
Number 8,
because I'm probably going to reinforce the point you're making, because I want to talk about this rally on Sunday at Madison Square Garden.
Go for it.
Which
we should talk about
it. is giving more attention to the dumpster fire. But I guess where I'm coming from on this is I cannot understand how people credit any of it or take any of it seriously. And I also cannot understand how people cannot see the real threat that it poses. Because James, you were saying, talking about the jokes and the humor and was a comedian talking about garbage, but context matters. And that was a comedian after a campaign of out and out months of racism, not just leading up to this event, but then the event itself doubled down on multiple blatant, not even.
It wasn't a joke.
The Antichrist. One person said that, and the other person said her pimps surrounding her like she's a whore. Like
again, which is how we treat women. It's horrible.
Maybe I'm sort of lured into the dumpster fire thing because I just find it all so grotesquely, compellingly absurd. It's like Hulk Hogan.
Struggling to take his shirt off.
Failing. They reported that he ripped his shirt off. He didn't get it off. And then sort of pivoting to this non-existent plot that boys are being turned into girls. Their will.
You can't even get it. Elliot can't even get a Tylenol from the nurse in school.
Kimmel said you can't even bring a peanut butter sandwich to school out of respect for people's health. You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is not what schools are for. Oh my God.
Let alone gender reassignment while you're in class.
It's so ridiculous. And people, and I don't know if they really buy it or if they just
it's some lizard brain receptor gets into it.
Do they just say these things to own the libs, which is sort of, I don't think they believe it, and they just
well, that's the thing. Finally the New York Times was like, put a cover sort of story in the opinion section of like, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Believe him. Because that is why voting for a brick wall would be better than voting for Trump. And Kamala Harris by no means is a brick wall, but the fundamental level of threat is extraordinary that people just don't seem to get it. And in the case of the Madison Square Gardens rally, which was a deliberate knowing echo of an America First rally, 1939, so it's 85 years ago, when America was, I guess, on the brink of supporting Hitler. Out comes Stephen Miller, the sort of Goebbels of our day. America is for America.
I heard that his pronouns are he, Himmler.
I mean, you do have to laugh. I think that's really kind of. I do.
It is, and this is another dark ass thing to say, but I wake up with these thoughts. It's like the devil didn't even wear sheep's clothing. The devil has presented himself to us in Trump. And a lot of people are still going to vote for him. So I hope the good nature of people and their belief in America, the great experiment of democracy, that we can keep it going for 4 more years if you vote for Kamala Harris. Hey, how about it? Just 4 years. Just 4 years. Hey.
I also think, just to end my sort of thought, is that everyone who has aligned themselves with Trump has ultimately had cause to regret it. So whether you're a My Pillow guy or whether you're Alex Jones from InfoWars
Or Rudy
Giuliani, you may think that you are riding the coattails to something.
Even his daughter Ivanka's in hiding. You know, she can't
say the only ones who came out of it with $2 billion is Jared, and he has not faced anything yet. But you say 4 more years, Tom. I want 8 more years, and then I want 2032. I want Buttigieg and Ossoff to
I'll let the democratic process proceed, and people will vote, and they'll primary, and they'll do. I just feel like we will not have a democracy, and no hyperbole. We will not have a democracy if Trump becomes president. So if you want to preserve democracy for 4 more years and then go back to being, because it's not even Democrat and Republican anymore.
No, it's not.
It is democracy versus fascism. Fascism, people. It's when Hitler. It's what your grandfather and your fathers died for and put their lives up for. I don't get what you're not getting.
It's a question of survival, actually, Tom. It's not just whether we'll have more elections or, it's whether there'll be in America or even maybe a world that we can even live in, because the consequences were near pretty disastrous last time. And I believe with you that they will be
worse,
globally fatal this
healthcare. Just talk about insurance and pre-existing.
I know, right? Let's take a break. Let's refresh ourselves. Blake.
Blake?
You have a question?
Blake has left. Blake's like, these guys are grumpy. Oh, I love your hat, Blake.
Thank you.
The rare camo Harris Walls hats. They're so everywhere. Good for you.
I have a question. I feel like Fenton's really going to like it. On this day in 1977, the farthest known asteroid was discovered by Charles Kowal. It's named after the wisest of the centaurs of Greek mythology.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Well, what's the name?
All right, we're going to take a break, and we'll have the answer right after the break here on the Wow Report on Radio Andy.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Hello and welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with Tom and James and Blake. Blake, you had a question before the break?
I did. On this day in 77, the farthest known asteroid was discovered by Charles Kowal. It is named after the wisest of the centaurs of Greek mythology. Fenton, what's the name?
I have no freaking idea.
I know the wisest centaur was Bob. Bob.
I think you said that Fenton would love it, so I think it has to be Andy Warhol. It has to be Andy Warhol.
I don't even know the name of one centaur.
I can't even think of the name of a centaur either.
No. I mean, you love space and Alien and all that.
Right. What's the answer? What's the answer?
Chiron.
How do you spell that?
Chiron.
Okay. Better on a Monday, and my heart stood still. Chiron, run.
Very good. All right, we're getting at the top 10 things of the week that made us go wow. Thank you, Blake. No more questions from you, I think. We've reached number 7.
Number 7.
I would like to cede my time to co-founder of World of Wonder, Randy Barbato. Ladies and gentlemen, Randy Barbato joining the Wow Report.
Oh my God. Hi. Thanks for the invitation.
Hi.
Where are we? Number 7?
Yes.
The Drudge Report.
Love it.
Has anybody been following the Drudge Report during this election?
No one as closely as you, Randy.
It's good. He is taking him down. He is doing us all a service. He has joined the ranks. He is, say what you will.
Wait a minute. Are you implying that the 25 years he was just warming up to this? Is that what?
Yes, I think we all evolve, don't we? I mean, sometimes we're, at some point,
and we're talking about this existential crossroads we're at. It's not about being a Republican or Democrat. It's, are you an American? And a Drudge, of all people, our enemy, has come to the side, it speaks to the complexity of what's going on right now.
By the way, he's been anti-Trump for a while now.
He has.
He wasn't not necessarily in 2016, but certainly 2020. And he is digging in deep and really helping. And he's super funny too. So if you need sort of a breath of fresh air as we're all catastrophizing and we're all losing our minds, go to the Drudge Report. And it's being refreshed pretty regularly.
I hate the weekends because he doesn't post as much on the weekend.
I know
he does pick the best anti-Trump pieces. He really does.
But what is his overall feeling other than Trump? Is he still sort of, is he right-wingy?
Let's focus on what's important right now, James, right before the election.
And by the way, it's a separate conversation that we can have after the election. But I wouldn't just, I think he's an independent thinker. And I think he's always been a provocateur. And he's always had interesting things to say that defy the right and the left. But yeah, back in 1995, when the Drudge Report started, there was some really scary stuff on the Drudge Report. But I do think he's paying back his dues.
I know that both you and Fenton know him sort of tangentially. You've had conversations with him. Can you just give me a sense of what he's like as a person?
I think he's very smart, very quick, and does perhaps have some conservative elements, but I don't think that those are necessarily ideologically allied to a sort of dogma or something. They're, like Randy says, he's a thinker.
He's an outspoken critical thinker. Yes. And I don't think his ideology can be summed up in a few sentences on.
But I would say he's not a liar. He's not a conspiracy theorist. He's not a manipulator. He's not a narcissist. He's not those awful things. And I will also say in Kamala Harris's, I love what she says, and I believe her, that, Trump will harass, belittle, and probably put in jail people who think differently than him.
Yeah.
Very likely. And Kamala says, I want them, give them a seat at the table. We have to go back to that. We have to open up our minds to conservative thinking, not crazy Trump is.
And that is why he is so, this is an interesting time for him, because I think that is precisely what she's inviting all of us to do. This turning of the page is also about depolarizing our thinking and our country. And so bravo to the Drudge Report. Reclaim your time.
Yes.
Mandy. Number 6.
Number 6.
I'm gonna move the conversation along a little bit. I'm gonna lighten it up. Actually, not lighten it up at all, because I'm gonna talk about something really depressing.
Oh,
I watched a movie called His Three Daughters on Netflix, starring Natasha Lyonne, Elizabeth Olsen, and Carrie Coons, which is a powerhouse trio. And it's basically just them in a house delivering monologues to each other. It is Oscar bait beyond Oscar bait, and it is Natasha's
awful,
movie.
James.
What?
Sounds unwatchable.
No. Well, let me get into it for a minute, because it is a little unwatchable. You have to do it in bits and dribs and drabs, but it's powerful stuff. It's really good stuff. It is Natasha's movie every second of the way. This is her best role ever, and that's saying a lot, because she's a fantastic actress. Three sisters reunite at the family home to care for their father, who is in hospice and dying in the next room. And Natasha has been caring for him for years. The other two daughters have been off living their lives away from them and away from their lives. So they all come back, and they all instantly know how to push each other's buttons, as only siblings can do. And suddenly there's, tempers flare, old issues resurface. There's arguments about who has what responsibilities in all of this. And it's just that waiting for someone to die that's just hanging over them. And he keeps having all these, he flatlines, and then they bring him back. And then, then he comes back. Well, it's just that awful feeling of just being like, you're waiting for someone to die and you don't want to wait for someone. It's a horrible thing to have to do. It very much is told in monologues. Like I said, it's in claustrophobic little rooms. It's extreme close-ups. It's very much like the Bergman style, Ingmar Bergman. It's like Cries and Whispers. If you've ever seen Cries and Whispers, it's in 19th century Sweden, and there's a woman dying of stomach cancer in the next room, and her three sisters come, and they're all in these red rooms. Tom, you know what I'm talking about.
Yes,
the red rooms, and she's screaming because there's no such thing as morphine and just pain, and it's just claustrophobic. I suggest you watch Cries and Whispers and then His Three Daughters back to back if you really want to just give yourself the golly
Some
wobbles.
sort of
Is that what
anima of trauma.
it is drama.
What's the good part of the movie?
The good
When
part
it
of the
ends.
movie is literally you are watching three actresses at the top of their game. Carrie Coons is a delight to watch. Elizabeth Olsen is just luminous, and Natasha Lyonne. It is if there is a new category for the Oscars, I want it to be best performance by a pair of contact lenses, because she wears these sclera lenses made to make her look high. Like, it's hysterical. Yes, His Three Daughters on Netflix. Watch it or don't, but really, you might want it just for because Oscar time is right around the corner. Oscar season.
I like to say, Three Sisters, you've been warned.
Right, there you go. Number 5.
Number 5.
Last weekend, went to see Taylor Swift's Eras tour in New Orleans.
Well, this was the last. This was like the last concert, the last of the.
It's the last of the North America.
Yeah.
I think she's going. Well, the
She might go to
US. I
Canada
think
or
she's
something.
going to Canada after
Yeah.
this. But it's pretty much at an end. I mean, 45 songs. She's on stage for 3 hours, 20 minutes. The audience's enthusiasm was just completely unflat. I mean, the balcony in the Superdome was like, if you live in earthquake country, I was anxious. It was like bouncing up and down. I've never been to a town. Well, New Orleans is not a town; it's a city completely given over to Taylor Swift. I mean, the Swifties were everywhere. All the cocktails in all the bars were like a Kelsey special or a Taylor Swift or like music, all of it. The only music you could hear in New Orleans was blaring Taylor Swift songs.
Now, did you go to New Orleans specifically for this, or were you there for something? You were there.
No.
And were either of the kids there? Did you bring either?
Yes. Nolan and Billy went, and it was, I think, their third time seeing this.
Oh, good.
But the audience was like, the show itself was unbelievably well staged and designed. I mean, I think 3 hours and 20 minutes of anything is quite a lot. And I must say, I was flagging around the folklore Evermore era of.
We all flag there, but we need a flag in order to sustain,
right?
Exactly.
But the staging of it was just immaculate. But I was also equally fascinated by the audience because everybody was in a glittery top,
and they all have the bracelets.
The friendship bracelets. They all had cowboy boots or knee-high black boots and hot pants. And I will just say, and this is mean, but because that's me, not the most beautiful crowd. Taylor looks great in her signature looks, and I love the fans playing along, but it's just not. And for the guys, there weren't a lot of options. You either wear a Kelsey jersey or a Lyric t-shirt that's like, "Hi, it's me. I'm the dad. It's me."
So cute. It was reported once again that she brings hundreds of millions of dollars of commerce to any city that she performs in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And there was a little discussion. I don't know about like the fact that she gets police protection. I was like, yeah, you should get police protection. You are like driving the economy. I mean, the merch lines alone were enormously long, and they weren't just buying one or two. They were buying bags of stuff. It was like a tsunami. And how do you spell tsunami? Tsunami. TS, Taylor Swift.
Oh, that was a
and
long
I'm sorry.
walk. Goodness gracious.
Remind me, who does Taylor Swift support for president this election?
She supports Kamala Harris. And I was talking to Randy about this, and Randy was like, well, it's too bad she didn't say anything during a concert, because every night, 3 nights sold out. No one's done that before, by the way, in New Orleans at the Superdome. 65,000 people a night. That's what, almost 200,000 people. Why didn't she say something? And I actually think the answer is, you look at the crowd and you realize there's a lot of people who are just think differently, even women. There was so many mothers and daughters, but I swore that Marjorie Taylor Greene was dancing next to me. I mean, I think with the best will in the world, even when a favorite artist doing a 3-hour, 20-minute show, you would begin to think maybe that some of the songs were a bit samey, I get why everybody loves her, and the songs are great, but I was trying to get into her or get some insight into her. She's so brilliant. It's like, I guess when you encounter a great artist, you realize that you're not going to sort of be looking at their shortcomings. You are presented with this thing that is a masterpiece.
I said after seeing the movie,
perfect pop automaton is what she is.
She's more than that. She's more than that.
No, I'm not taking it, but I'm saying that, like, if you're gonna build a pop star, you take every element, and she has every element of a perfect pop star,
which takes brilliance, and talent, and a little bit of luck. But she does. After I saw that movie, I went from being reluctant old guy who doesn't necessarily get what's happening every time it happens. But I thought, like, she's undeniably at the top of her game, and brings everyone together. Which, again, going back to when Randy was here, let's have people that bring everyone together.
Has managed to have that stamina and that same amount of celebrity for 17 years now, 15, 16 years.
Well, yes, I mean, massive celebrity, and then has managed to supersize.
So the ambition that she has is one of those. It's like a Madonna-like ambition. It really is, like, where it's unlike
it's beyond Madonna.
And I would just wanted to add that in wanting this sort of insight, I actually got it because one of the last songs in the show is Mastermind. Not one of her well-known songs, but the lyric is, no one wanted to play with me as a little kid, so I've been scheming like a criminal ever since to make them love me and make it seem effortless. This, the first time I felt the need to confess. And the staging of that particular song was in a concert that was so incredible. And you realize, she's a mastermind. She's figured it out. She's cracked the code, and she has delivered this mastermind has delivered a masterpiece. And
so we bow to thee.
Yeah, we do. And absolutely right. She endorsed Kamala. So it's all good.
It all ties up in a nice little bow.
Yeah. So let's take.
And the TS for tsunami stands for.
I was so proud of that.
How were you up late last night coming up with that one? Writing it down, practicing it in the mirror.
And then I just get caught out by James. Well, Blake, have you got a question? I feel the need now for some more centaurs in space.
I do. This may be a little easier for you knuckleheads. On this day in 2012, Google's Gmail became the world's most popular email service. But what did it replace? Who was the leader before that?
We'll have the answer right here on the Wow Report after the break.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. I'm Fenton here with James and Tom.
Voila! A new Harris Walls t-shirt.
No, Tom, that's very good. For those of you watching, you can see on our YouTube channel, Tom is wearing a Harris 2024 sweatshirt, right?
Yes,
it's
with a
gorgeous. It's blue with a red heart. I love it. And Blake.
Yeah, and I have my Harris Waltz hat on. It's camo with orange.
Yes. Collector's item.
On this day in 2012, Google's Gmail became the world's most popular email service. But what did it replace?
All right, we're gonna work as a team. Let's huddle. It's either Yahoo, AOL, Earthlink. What could it be?
It could be Eudora. What about Eudora?
No, I think AOL was already over by that time. I'm going to say yahoo.com.
I would go with Yahoo too.
We're gonna say Yahoo.
All right, well, you were close.
Hotmail.
Microsoft's Hotmail was the leader before that. Although Yahoo had the most registered users, it was not used as much as the others. So
Yahoo.
All right. We're counting down top 10 things of the week that made us go, wow. We've reached number 4.
Number 4.
Oftentimes, the rest in peace segments I'm about to do right now make me sad. This one filled me with joy because I was able to replay and relive a lot of her career. Teri Garr passed away. Interestingly, and not surprisingly, a couple of young guys in the office, Justin and Milo, I'm like, do you guys know who Teri Garr is? They're like, they're really smart, lovely guys. They're like, no, we don't. And I said, did you ever see Tootsie? And they're like, no, we haven't. And so I pulled out a couple of clips from Young Frankenstein and I played it for the unscreened. And then I played
what knockers? Thank you, doctor.
Exactly. And then
roll, hey.
And then the scene from Tootsie where she thinks she's caught him in a lie, and she says, if you're seeing someone else, says, let me know, just let me know. And the best line of that is she's freaking out. He goes, well, can we be friends? She goes, I don't take that kind of shit from friends, which is such a great line. But I couldn't find, for people who didn't know, I couldn't find the evidence, the one place evidence of this is what made Teri Garr so amazing. Because, she grew up in North Hollywood. Her father was a vaudevillian who died when she was young. Her mother was a Hollywood costumer. And for her prom, she talked about how her mother borrowed a dress, unbeknownst to Dinah Shore. And she wore a Dinah Shore Christian Dior dress to her prom. She was a dancer. She knew Michael Winter, who was in West Side Story. And Michael Winter was the choreographer of the 60s. He did Viva Las Vegas. He did Hullabaloo. He did Anne Margaret specials. He did specials. So, and like Viva Hollywood, Clambake, Teri Garr is there. She's the blonde girl dancing. So then she ends up being a supporting player on the Sonny and Cher Comedy Hour. And you remember when Cher used to do that Geraldine character where she was at the laundromat? She was talking to Teri Garr. But then in 1974, it all blew up when she was in Mel Brooks's Young Frankenstein, and she played Frankenstein's girlfriend. But she went on to be in Close Encounters of the Third Kind, one of the biggest movies of all time. Tootsie, one of the biggest movies of all time. Mr. Mom, one of the biggest comedies of all time at the time. And she just worked on one thing. But the thing that defined her, that sent me into a euphoric nostalgia brainwave, was her multiple appearances on the early David Letterman show. First of all, it reminded me, I don't know where you guys were in 1982, 83, 84, but there's clips. I put it on our chat chain of her appearing on the old late David Letterman show. It reminded me of being with my college roommates, how fucking funny and weird David Letterman was, how they tried to do inventive things that often failed. She was so funny, a natural beauty, and, dare I say, a feminist. And David Letterman was, dare I say, a misogynist without trying. It was a time capsule. One time she comes out and she's sitting on her legs and she's being really cute. She's being really fabulous. And at one point he's like, well, why are you sitting like that? Don't sit like a child, sit like a grown-up. And she immediately gets into the thing. And then he asks her a question. She goes, why can't I sit the way I want to sit? I don't know. I'm doing a terrible job. Watch her so on
funny in this sort of, is it fair to say, like, funny, but in a really kind of quirky, very almost as if it was not punchline-y way, just funny.
She was quirky but beautiful and sexy at the same time, but in a very not threatening sexy. She was just all American, sexy, beautiful, and it just shone through.
And she and Letterman had incredible chemistry. It's before talk shows felt as scripted as they feel now. Now they feel so scripted, and we all feel so presentational in the way we speak. It's them having real conversations, getting to know each other. When you see them back to back, it's joyous.
She was such an important part of my childhood and teenage years and formative years, where that, like you said, that every from Young Frankenstein to Tootsie to all those movies were such indelible parts of my life that I felt like I knew her. I felt like I wanted her to be my mother. I wanted her to be my sister. I wanted her to be my best friend. I wanted to be straight and have her, as my beard, or as my girlfriend. She just was everything. And it's that same thing as like when Maggie Smith died, and a couple of those, where you want to live your life so that every single person talks about how wonderful you were. There was just an outpouring on social media of clips and people just saying, I met her once and she just, and I watched her growing up and this and that, and just, you want to live your life like Teri Garr, so that when you die.
She was in Oh God. She worked with Francis Ford Coppola and One from the Heart. She hosted Saturday Night Live 3 times. And I also say, and she didn't let this define her, but she was very open about her MS, or multiple sclerosis. And she has a book about it that I want to read, that she wrote afterwards. But one of her alternative titles for the book, she said, was, "Does this wheelchair make me look fat?" She had a wonderful sense of humor.
She did have a hard last 20 years, didn't she?
Yeah. And she played for the kids who watched the Friends and she played.
She was Phoebe's mother on Friends. Yes.
Yes. Three arcs. So
rest in perfection, Teri Garr. And I just wanted to say, Linda Obbs, the Hollywood producer, passed away as well. And it's just one of those books I read and always remembered. It's called Hello, He Lied, which and the one take that there's a one takeaway from the book that I will always. She said she was in some meeting and she was trying to launch some project, and the person turned to her and said, "Try to ride the horse in the direction it's going." And I don't know. That's a good life hack. Yeah. Number 3, James.
Number 3.
I watched on Turner Classic Movies a movie called Father Takes a Wife.
Okay.
It stars Gloria Swanson, Adolphe Menjou, and a young Desi Arnaz, who is 19, 20 years old, and I'm going to get to that. But Gloria Swanson, of course, was the biggest silent movie star of all time. And she stopped making movies in 1929. I think Queen Kelly never got released, and that sort of put the kibosh on her career. And then, of course, she had this magnificent comeback, the greatest comeback of all time, in 1950 when she did Sunset Boulevard, Norma Desmond. But not many people realize that between 1929, the silent movies, and Sunset Boulevard, she did 8 movies. She did 8 different movies that nobody sees. You never see them anymore. And this is one of those movies. They were all bombs, by the way. And this is no exception to that. It's a comedy. And bless her heart, Gloria Swanson was many things, but she was not a comedian. And she's trying her damnedest here. She plays a Broadway legendary actress, a star, which is very much sort of like a pre-Norma Desmond type thing. And she's doing her, her actressy Gloria Swanson stuff. Yeah. And she's in all these fabulous gowns. And she is, she gives up the Broadway stage to marry Adolphe Menjou. And I hate Adolphe Menjou. That's a whole separate podcast.
Don't even get him started about that. That's crazy.
Get me started about Adolphe Menjou. Yes. But anyway, so she gives up the stage to marry Adolphe Menjou, and they sort of bicker back and forth, and it's sort of like a Thin Man thing. This is 1940, so they're trying to maybe do a Thin Man. They're trying to make them into an it couple, blah, blah, blah. So they go on a honeymoon, and they're on a yacht, and there's a stowaway. They go to Mexico, and there's a young stowaway on board, and it's Desi Arnaz. And Desi Arnaz, bless his heart, I mean, a little twink. Like, you've never seen Desi Arnaz, just 20 years old and as cute as a button, just sexy as all get out. And she falls for him. It's so bizarre. She decides that she's going to take over his career and make him into a star. And so she has him come and live with her new husband. And it becomes this weird 1940s, like she cuckolds her husband. It's like they have this threesome, and that's blatantly what they're talking about here. They're blatantly saying this older actress takes this young boy into her house.
An emotional threesome, probably. because
No, that's the whole thing.
Carnal threesome.
Like the undercurrent is basically that she's trying to fuck Desi, and the husband is sitting around getting upset about it because he sees his new wife falling for this younger man. So it's this just bizarre plot that sort of squeaked under the Hays Code because it's very strange. But the real reason to watch is for Desi. You see a young Desi, and you see why Lucy fell for him because it's
well,
just
she saw him in the commissary, and they had a date that night or something. It was a very quick connection between the two of them.
I can imagine lots of people saw him and had a date that night. I can imagine he was just the hit of Hollywood when he hit town.
All right.
It's fascinating. Yeah.
Father takes a wife. Number 2.
Number 2.
The Apprentice, the movie. Have you seen The Apprentice?
I have.
Tom did.
It is so. It's a brilliant movie. Do you not? It's fantastic.
I 100% agree with you. I think you were away, but I want to hear what you say. But I thought just as a movie on its own, forgetting about it, it's beautifully made.
I think the fact that it is 100% true and brilliantly insightful in both a micro and a macro sense has a lot to recommend it. But it's also a really well-made film and visually very clever, incredible performances. I mean, I know everybody's talking about Jeremy Strong, who's very good as the sort of heavy-lidded Roy Cohen, but the guy who plays Trump is spectacular. I actually almost think he has the edge over.
Well, it's whatchamacallit, isn't it? Sebastian
Sebastian
Stan,
Stan.
who we saw on Broadway. Remember Fenton? We saw him in Moulin Rouge.
Oh, that. My God, I know. And wow. Well, then
Yeah.
even more incredible. I mean,
He's
even more.
Bucky in the Avengers.
I mean, so how someone so hot can also make themselves into a complete monster is also extraordinary. I mean, it is a brilliant, brilliant film. But Tom, I also feel, to your point, that what it does is kind of telescopes so much into 90 minutes. You know, you have the context of Watergate and the fact that Nixon was pardoned, which kind of, in a way, opened the doors for a return to this kind of shenanigans and corruption and insanity that we see with Trump. It does also dimensionalize and sort of kind of explains to you why someone could become such a monster. And it's also funny. There's a great moment when, I mean, it's grotesque, when Trump is wheeling Roy Cohen around Mar-a-Lago in a wheelchair, and he just bounces him down the steps. It was, you know, sort of these little moments that were just so.
Is there an Ivana character in it?
Absolutely.
It's one of the pivotal scenes. I mean, for me also, because we all talk about Trump and we say this, but it's reminding young people who might see this movie, or all of us, who Roy Cohen is and how evil he was.
Yes.
And those 3 things that he lived by. This is documented. The 3 rules he lived by that Trump lives by. I said this the last time, but it's like it's the first one is attack, what Trump does every single day, every other breath. You know, the idea that there is no truth, just say it and say that it's true. And the third is don't admit defeat even when you lose.
And I think that third one is the most crucial, isn't it? Because
it's what he does is those 3 things, and he's poking at you, so you can't ever get your balance with him to like get in a question to talk him down, because he's attacking you, he's making up the truth, and then he's not admitting defeat. It's a really good movie. I know it sounds crazy. I'm not just saying because of it's the texture. New York, shithole New York is quite amazing, and then glossy New York is quite amazing in the 80s.
The way they capture the feel of film in the 70s in that sort of bankrupt period of New York, and then it sort of evolves into noisy, fuzzy video in the 80s. They capture it all just
that's fascinating.
Absolutely flawlessly.
Is it available yet on streaming, or did you go see it in a theater?
Not yet. No, not yet. I didn't see it
it's playing 24/7 on Truth Social.
It's available for video on demand as of today.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay.
Highly recommend it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take one more break. When we come back, the number one thing this week that made us go, wow.
You're listening to World of Wonders Wow Report. Things that make us go wow.
Welcome back to the Wow Report. We've been counting down the top 10 things that make us go wow this week. We've had a theme, and we've strayed off it here and there, but essentially the theme is Number one.
Number 1.
Vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Save democracy. I will quote a relative who I'll keep anonymous, who said, without mentioning gender, that this relative said, I voted for Trump in 2016 because I'm sick of politicians. That's fair. Then they said when Biden was against Trump, I didn't vote because they seemed the same to me. Okay, I don't agree, but I see that point of view. And then this relative said, I'm voting for Kamala now because he is a big fat liar. He lies and lies. He doesn't have a health care plan. He says things and takes them back. He's mean about women. He's mean about Puerto Ricans. And Kamala is the way to bring the best up. There's two choices, but she can bring us together. Trust me. Trust me, we can do it.
Okay, from Tom's relatives to your ears.
I hope other people feel that way, that they're willing to change for this one election if they have to.
And I want to bring it back to what we said at the beginning and what you said so eloquently, Tom, is that we need a change. And it never crossed my mind, but a woman's place is in the White House. I remember I used to have that cushion for when Hillary was running. And good Lord, make it so, because there's absolutely no reason why Kamala couldn't lead this country. And not only a woman, but a person of color. I mean,
monumental.
Yeah.
So many people voted for Obama. If you voted for Obama, vote for Kamala. Like, he's out there. I mean, anyway, we're
take it from 3 old white men. James, a parting word of wisdom from you.
I agree with all of you, and I think that just go out and vote your conscience and do the right thing, and let's get back together again in 2 weeks, and hopefully we'll be celebrating.
Well, I was going to say same time, same place next week.
Well,
right?
No, next week will be fabulous too. But next week we're going to be in the thick of, we're going to be in the weeds, and we aren't going to know anything for 2 weeks. Is what I'm trying to say. 2 or 3 weeks at least.
Well,
blue wave, blue wave, blue wave, blue wave, blue wave.
Everything crossed. Go out and go something. Go out and go. Go out.
Go out and go is what I'm saying. Fenton's been nipping at the brandy is what I
Yes.
Go out and do.
Go out and do something that makes the world go wow by voting blue.
Yes.
Wow, blue.